Hi everyone, my name is Weslie Pierre and I'm an interior plant stylist. I'm the owner of the Plant Design Studio by Wesleaf. If you saw my shop tour, you might have seen the beautiful succulent garden and the gold dish that I created. Let's make one together. So in front of me, I have a mixture of cacti and succulents. The reason for this mix is they are mostly medium to high light plants. So this design you'll want to put directly in front of a south or west facing window as they require a lot of light. I love succulent designs because they require really minimal watering. So it's a really fun way to spruce up your space without needing much attention or care. Let's get started. All right, so our first step is to use our wall draining soil mix. And I kind of just ballpark how much soil that I'm using. I kind of go halfway up the bowl in this case, and then I'm going to use my tools to flatten it out. So at Wesleaf, we make our own soil mix. If you look in here, you'll see that we have organic soil, charcoal, some bits of orchid bark, the white pieces are perlite, and we also have worm castings in here. That helps the mix be nice and airy and not retain too much water. Succulents don't like a lot of water. So in order to start potting our plants, I like to give each succulent a tight squeeze, and that helps separate the plant from the planter. You'll notice that some of the roots are starting to get loose, so I like to just give everyone a nice little shake. That lets them know that they have time to grow in their new spot. There's really no science or magic to where you place your plants. I kind of just go with the vibes. I usually go with some of my lower succulents on the perimeter, and I like to hide my cacti in the center as a way to protect kids from sticking their hands in and not getting hurt. So as I go around, I'm kind of creating a bit of a valley, and I'm tucking in the plants in nice and close. Once I have my plants kind of in place, I use the back of my tools to break up the root ball. It helps loosen so that the plants know that they have more room to grow. So life as a plant stylist is really interesting. We have weeks that are super busy where we're doing rental activities, we have pop-ups and all sorts of fun events going on. But I really love the opportunities where I can just come to the studio when things are kind of quiet and I can just plant. It gives me time to reflect. It gives me time to kind of be grateful and think about all the amazing experiences I've had since starting this work as a plant stylist, all the amazing people that I've met along the way. And I don't know, it's just good for the vibes, honestly, because what's therapy for? You could just plant stuff. So don't worry too much about the roots. You don't want to cause too much trauma so that you're tearing it apart, but you do want to assure that you're giving the soil a good shake so that the roots stop growing in that circular motion that it was stuck in that cup, and that it has time to really fill up this pot. So there's really no science to where you're laying things out. Because all of these plants require the same amount of care, it doesn't really matter where you put them. It's more about deciding what you want it to look like, if you want it to kind of like have a front or a back, if you're okay with it being more of a 360. I'm actually gonna move this to the other side. I aim to not have similar textured plants too close to each other. I just feel like it gives it more depth and it's just more visually appealing. Make sure you protect your fingers by using all the tools that you need so that you're not touching the cacti directly. Oh my gosh, let me tell you a horror story. I was at a big box store, first mistake, and I was looking at succulents. This is when I first got into plants, and then I dropped a cactus. Do you want to know what I did? I tried to catch it, and then I had splinters all through my hand for weeks. It took weeks for them to come out. Make sure that you're not like me and that you protect your fingers. What's great about these designs is that they're very forgiving. There's no perfect way to make them. There's no right way, there's no wrong way. What you do want to make sure is that the plants you choose all need the same amount of care. That's the only thing that you can possibly do wrong, is choosing plants such as foliage plants to plant with succulents. So if you ever go to a big box store and you see that they've mixed foliage plants with succulent plants, run. Do not buy it. It's a bad idea and it's a setup for failure. Those types of plants require different types of care. So putting them in the same type of planter, you'll either kill the foliage plant or you'll kill the succulent. And I know you don't want to do either. I'm tucking in our last succulent here, and I am very excited with how it turned out. What do y'all think? Vibing or not vibing? I think it's a vibe. So after I've tucked everything in here, You'll find that sometimes that they're not necessarily sticking up perfectly. It's all fine. You're gonna use your moss to help anchor your plant. I like to add pops of color with my spring designs because obviously it's spring. Those are the vibes. Why wouldn't you want to? So I like to use my pieces to kind of tuck in my moss. So the great thing about this moss is it does not require any care at all. It's artificial, some of it is preserved, so it does not need any care. It just adds to the aesthetic, makes it beautiful. It helps anchor the piece in place. And yeah, it just adds just some general pizzazz to your design. So I try to be mindful that I'm not repeating the same colors because I don't want red back to back. But moss comes in a ton of different colors, which is fabulous. We have them in blues, we have them in reds, you can go all greens, you can go all purple, you can literally do whatever you want. In the case of myself, I like to create designs that are mostly white rocks because I'm super boring, but you're not boring. Don't be me, be better. And we're almost done here. Are we having a good time? So I like to look around and kind of look at the spaces where I see soil. So even though it looks like it's done, you'll find some spaces here where you still see soil. I choose to cover them. Some people might not. I care, and I honestly just think you should too. So we're gonna go in and tuck some more pieces in the center, and then we can call it good. So the last thing I like to do is I go around with just a regular paintbrush and dust off the cacti. They like to catch on to my moss. I don't like that. I like a really clean look when I plant my designs, and this is what we end up with. So when it comes to watering, I like to get these little squeeze bottles. They're 250 mils. Water once a month, and you can literally just go around. There's no perfect way to do it. And you just water right through, and I would empty this whole situation right into the design. This doesn't have a drainage hole in our case, so we want to be really mindful of the amount of water that we're putting into the design. And we'll know that this plant is thirsty when we start to see some wilting. You'll notice that when the plants are really watered, they're nice and taut and full. And over time, as they use their water and photosynthesize, they'll start to get depleted and look wrinkly. That's when you'll know it's time to water them. Finally, like with all our designs, I stick a plant care card in there. It tells you that a succulent, water it when it's completely dry. Make sure you give it some bright light. And of course, my phone number at the bottom if you ever need help. I hope this inspires you to take some time to create your own succulent garden. Don't forget to find a bright sunny spot and water it once a month. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. And don't forget to subscribe to Handmade for more expert tips just like this.